It's Backstage Pass with Steve Ryan. And here's your host, Steve Ryan.
There he is.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Tony, how are you, brother?
I'm very well, thank you.
I love that background you have behind you, brother.
Oh, my drums are in. They just come back from a show, so I'm putting another kit together for the next show.
Yeah. Great. Well, speaking of shows, did I see that? I know you've got some shows that you're doing with the babies right now, but I see that you've got some dates into next year, and some of those dates include being out with Sweet.
Yes, we did. We did one show already where Sweet headlined, and well, it was a double bill, but we went on first. The next show we do with Sweet is we're going to headline, and I think that's in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love Sweet. I the babies and Sweet. I mean, there's not a better night than that, man.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, we're still enjoying it. The band's still playing really well and slamming. So,
Yeah.
no, there's no reason to stop at the moment.
Yeah. Well, listen, I really appreciate you giving me a little bit of time today. We've been texting back and forth a little bit, and I've just been looking forward to this all week long because, Tony, I think that you are probably in the top 10 of the greatest rock and roll drummers of all time. I mean, man, you are
Oh,
so good.
thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's what
I,
keeps me going. Uh,
yeah.
the people that feel what I feel, and I mean, I wouldn't. I never put myself in the top 10 because there's so many great drummers, but in what I do, I'm proud of what I do, and I get compliments like that, which is just lovely.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Of course. I think most people know you obviously from the babies. Maybe most people don't know as well about how much time you spent in Rod Stewart's band. And I mean, at probably, I think arguably the most successful time of his career as well. And then of course you played with Elton John and Jimmy Barnes and Jeff Beck and Roy Orbison and Keith Urban, and yeah, I mean the list goes on and on of the who's, and I find it so amazing. And I know we have a limited amount of time. I want to talk about what you're doing now. I want to talk about the babies, and some of the stuff you did with Rod Stewart. But you had told me earlier about this new project you have going on called with Close Enemies. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. It's to tell you the truth, I haven't been this excited since got our first record deal with the Babies, and Tom Hamilton from Aerosmith is playing bass. Um, we've got Peter Stroud from Sheryl Crow on guitar. We have Hampton, who's from the Disney World, and he's a wonderful singer. So, and we have Trace, who has worked with AC/DC and several people, and the five of us together just have that magic. And of course, anybody can say that, but you can really feel it when you're playing together. Just that that grin on your face that everybody looks at each other and go, "Damn, I haven't felt this good in a long time."
Yeah.
You
And so
know,
are you guys going in the studio? What's the plan?
I just went into Peter Frampton's studio and laid down the drums,
Yeah.
and we have about 12 songs already that we've co-written together. Uh, that they are extraordinarily good. They're musically challenging. So for me, that's wonderful. I feel like I'm going to another level.
Yeah.
So, which is that's what I want to do at my age.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting better and I'm taking care of myself, working out every day, and it's not time to quit yet.
Yeah. Well, good for you, brother. You know, when I saw that you guys were doing those shows with Sweet, and I was so excited about it because I love both bands. I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna have to catch a plane and go see the show because you know, the fact that you guys are still out there enjoying it, having a good time, and the songs have really stood up. You know what I mean? I mean, they're still great.
They have, and um, I was a co-writer on Head First, and wow, I just woo. There you go. I was a co-writer on Head First. I wrote the actual chorus part and presented it to the band when Wally and I got together and finished it off. And um, that to this day, I've only got to hit the first four hat beats,
Right?
and people know exactly what song it is. And all the bands that I've ever seen and that go out and do copy bands and whatever, they always Head First is always in their set list.
Well, the first time that I saw you, you looked down and out, and I had my doubts about you. But baby, since I come to know you, I ain't got no doubts what it's about. Me and baby, we're going out tonight. She's gonna treat me right. Ooh, yeah.
Even though we've had several hits, we've had, Every Time I Think of You, Isn't It Time? But
Yeah.
Head First is the cult uh, winner.
Yeah.
Midnight Rendezvous, of course.
Well, and and that was 1978. I mean, that
Yeah.
the album, every time I think of you is on there, which was a huge hit for you guys. I think it went to number 13 here in the States.
Every time I think of you, it always turns out good. Every time I've held you, I thought you understood. People say a love like ours will surely pass, but I know a love like ours will last and last. But maybe I was wrong not knowing how our love should go. But I wasn't wrong not knowing how our love would grow. Every time I think of you, it always turns out good. Every time I think of you, every time I think of you, every time I think of you, every time I think of you.
And I just love that track. I've been listening to the Babies last couple of days, anticipating our conversation. And the thing that kind of hit me about what you guys do is you're so good, the Babies, at kind of the build up. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the
Yeah.
songs kind of start out and they have their intro, and it kind of builds up and it builds, and by the end of the song, man, you have a crescendo just happening, and the Babies are so good at that.
Yeah, that's something that we didn't do knowingly. We would feel it in every track. It was, trying to put the excitement into what we do, and of course that was the days before click tracks and all that. So we could speed up like the Stones do. I mean, if you try and put a Stones track to a click track, you're in big trouble. So ours at least, steady, but we do climax to the at the end,
Yeah. And
and it, it's still to this day I can remember the times when we recorded each track and how they felt, and so that comes out on record.
yeah.
How the band's feeling, and it somehow comes across, and it's a wonderful part of music that we all enjoy, I think.
Yeah, it's so satisfying. Another song off that Head First album that I love is "You Got It."
Oh yeah.
which is a tender song, but I think John did a great vocal on that, and it's just it's it's just there's a lot of room to breathe in that track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You got that magic touch, you've really got it down. I don't even see your face when I want you, but I hear you come around. Well, I know you come around. Yeah. Oh, baby, I want you. I don't even know that.
John did do a wonderful job on that. John is, to this day, is still singing like a bird. He's incredible. We were and still are a group, a band of family members that were one unit, and that's what made the Babies. It wasn't John Waite, who I'm not taking anything away from John's talent,
Mhm.
but it was a talent between the four of us in the beginning
Yeah,
before we added Jonathan Cain and Ricky Phillips. At that point, Jonathan was the keyboard player and a great songwriter at with his attributes with us, and
yeah,
we were lucky to have him. But of course, Journey stole him,
yeah.
and that helped John decide whether he was going to leave the Babies or not. And you
It's a good
know,
thing.
actually, John, we were on the road with Journey for a year and a half, and we always make a joke because we actually left Jonathan, but we went into this. It was like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, something like that. Went into the services to go get it something to, coffee or something to do. People that weren't sleeping on the bus at that time, and Jonathan's curtains were closed on his bed. We went out and had our something to eat, and came back in, and his curtains were still closed. So we assumed he was in bed. Uh, just to find out that we get a over the radio from the Journey bus. Oh, we just picked up your keyboard player. So, um,
You know,
so,
I read his autobiography, and he didn't write it quite that way. I love your story better.
oh, oh well, no, it wasn't. We didn't do it on purpose, that's for sure.
Yeah,
And we always say that. Well, that's the way he joined Journey.
yeah,
Because he became friends with him on that bus on the ride home,
yeah. That's what he says. Wow. Hey, I want to go back to the Baby's 1977 album, "Broken Heart." It had "Isn't It Time" on
uh,
there, which
my
I love.
favorite, my,
Is that your favorite?
my favorites. Well, my favorite album.
Falling in love was the last thing I had on my mind. Holding you is a warmth that I thought I could never find. Just trying to decide, I'll stay by your side. I know I could cry, I just can't find the answer to the questions that keep going through my mind. Hey babe, isn't it time? Life is your time to wait. Falling in love could be your mistake. Isn't it time? Life is your time to wait. Falling in love could be your mistake.
Yeah.
That's when Ron Neverson was at his
Mhm.
best, and for us, and we had the mobile truck, and we rented this mansion where I got the John Bonham sound, and I stole everything that Ron Neverson showed me. to get the John Bonham sound. Well, even though John and I were friends
Yeah.
growing up in London.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, we used to play the Marquee Club together in London.
Wow.
We and it was called the Marquee Club, and it was famous for Zeppelin, The Who, Free. I was lucky enough to be a little younger than those guys, but I would watch every show and go there. And, I became friends with Keith that way, became friends with John Bonham that way.
Mm.
And of course, in those days, it was just magic. I mean, and and there was a lot of drinking and good times were to be had by then. But once you realize you have to slow down when you get older, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I had read, tell me if this is true, that Isn't It Time had become a hit. It was a top 20. I think it went to 13, something like that in the States. But you guys had gone on to Dick Clark's American Bandstand.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
is that when, as a band, is that kind of when you know you've made it? When I mean, American Bandstand was a big deal. There was no MTV.
No, there wasn't. We signed with Chrysalis. I mean, I don't know if you know the story about how we got our record deal. Maybe we could go into that a little bit later. But uh when we first came to America, because the Chrysalis Records thought we were more of an American English coming to America act that was fresh and new, which turned out to be correct. And they hit us with Diana Shore, uh, well, American Bandstand, yeah, you name it.
Yeah.
We were on it for 6 months, and plus the billboards over it's on Sunset Boulevard above Bag Company, or Free at that point.
Yeah.
And it was we thought, oh hello, we have made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember going into this store. It was a beverage store, and going in to get myself something to drink, and it was quite early in the morning. I was planning on drinking it later, but I did celebrate because I looked up and there was a post. I was a huge billboard of the Baby's Broken Heart record up there.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like, hang on a minute, did I have a good night last night? And am I imagining this? You know,
Yeah.
and so, um, we were obviously very naive at that point, and but to have that blessing for us, Chrysalis did a wonderful job. I mean, later on, um, there's some rough stories, but I don't know how deep you want to get into, what was good and what was bad. But it
Well, I think
wasn't it wasn't all flowers. Let's put it that way.
yeah, and I think as and I talked to people who have been on Chrysalis, and they could be a tough label to be on, is what I hear, and pretty demanding. And I don't know about you, but I've talked to people who said that they were wanting an album a year, sometimes two, and in between you're on the road, and it was like that for years. Is that how it was with the Babies?
Absolutely, we did
Yeah,
what 5 records in 4 years.
yeah. Two
Uh,
records, I think, in 1980
yeah,
came out, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, actually, the Head First album, Ron and us, we finished that record, and Chrysalis Records said, "Well, we don't feel like we've got enough hits," which surprised us because you know what the rest of the songs are on that album, and they're extraordinary, and we had to go back in and re-record. That's when I came up with the riff for Head First. I'm sorry, I'm not promoting myself here. It's just the way it went down.
yeah.
Um, um, that's when I came up with Head First, and we put it together. We recorded that in Record Plant in C, which is no longer there. Um, and that was the song that put Chrysalis over the top. And
Yeah.
now we have it. You know,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
recorded 3 tracks. 2 of those made it on the record, but Head First was the big one. So,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
obviously we named the record that.
Yeah. You know, you said just a second ago you weren't promoting yourself, but there's nothing wrong with that, Tony. I mean, think about the babies and all the stuff you did with Rod Stewart and everybody else. I mean, you're a part of millions of records that have been sold. I mean, that's just a fact, brother.
Yeah, I know, and I have to kick myself every now and again.
How do you process that, man?
Very, I, I think I'm very lucky. You know, there's a lot of other players out there that deserve the same thing, and I see them still struggling. And
Yeah.
of course, you have to stay on top of your game because you're only as good as the last thing you did.
Yeah.
And you know, the older you get, they wonder if you still got it. And I know I have, and I feel, but especially now talking about close enemies, I'm so excited. You know, I just love playing with it. I don't know if I'm moving on too far, but we just played Nashville,
Mhm.
our first show to flush out the songs, and we it went down so well. I mean, that's a tough crowd in Nashville. Everybody thinks they're better than
Yeah.
you know, because they're all musicians.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
Good place
know,
to start because you'll get the truth.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. But we had them jumping up and down. So that's a stamp of approval
Yeah.
from the toughest crowd you can get.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, a couple more things. I just want to cover the babies before we move on to
oh,
other stuff.
yeah, I'm sorry. You have to stop me when I go off.
No, I want to hear the stories, brother. As long as you give me the time. I mean, I could spend hours with you, and I won't do that to you. But I'm in no rush because I just there's so much to cover. I know we're not going to get to everything, and so it's going to be a bummer. Maybe we'll have to do a follow up sometime. But uh,
Absolutely.
I know people want to hear about the babies and they want to hear about the hits, and we can talk about that. And back on my feet again, from the Union Jacks album, was another big record.
I was so lonely until I met you. Told myself I'd get by without love. Drowning my sorrows, avoiding tomorrows. Kinda felt that I just had enough. You light up my face with your jokes and your smiles, and the way that you came every night. Don't know what you got, but I'm sure glad I found you. Could be wrong, but it sure feels right. And here I am. I'm back on my feet again. Here I am. I'm back on my feet again. Surprised at myself.
That was when we were just getting to know each other, Jonathan and Ricky. You know, Ricky's always been just a wonderful person. You know, he's done well with Styx, even though he's just left Styx, but he needs to move on.
Yeah.
Uh, Jimmy Barnes took up. I know you want to stay on the babies, but Jimmy Barnes took up 7 years of my life down in Australia, where I got to co-produce with Don Gaiman, and that's where I co-produced. Well, I produced Keith Urban's one of his first records,
Yeah.
and
Do you
which
know? Did you know
he-
that Keith was gonna become so huge?
no, because he didn't even tell me like country music. So we were doing we were about to we did an '80s pop tune,
Yeah.
and um, I still love it to this day, but it never made the light of day because he forgot to tell me like the country, and that to me when I mix a country record or play on a country record, to me that's just '80s uh approach to recording and mixing the whole thing. I mean, I know country music moved on a little bit, but it's the same approach as far as recording every instrument and the mix wise. It's an '80s thing that they've pulled into country, and for me
Yeah.
to mix an '80s record is easy, and um, well, I actually love it because it's what everything, like I said, that Ron Neverson taught me, and I've never forgotten a thing. He must have been. I spoke to Ron the other day, and he's gonna produce our next set of records.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
we're gonna get. Yeah.
there's a to me, if you listen to some of the current stuff that's coming out, it's kind of there's this 80s thing coming back. The sound is kind of 80s.
Yeah, yeah. I'm praying that it does. I can't wait for you. In fact, as soon as we get our first mix back, we've got Nick Didia mixing for us, who did Bruce Springsteen, Stone Temple Pilots, you name it. He's mixed it, and we're waiting for our first mix to come back. And I can't wait to hear it and share it. If you'd like, I would be more than happy to send it to you for
Oh, it'd
your.
be an honor to hear it, Tony. I'd feel just honored. I'm just so excited about the project.
Oh, me too. It's made me 5 years younger. I might not
Yeah.
look it, but I feel 5 years younger.
Hey, you're looking pretty good, brother. And when the album comes out, we'll have another conversation and talk
Oh
about it.
yeah. Yes, please. I mean, I'm grateful that you even got me on the program. So.
Oh man, it's you're doing me the favor. Um, I want to talk about Union Jack's just one more track because my favorite track on that album is Midnight Rendezvous.
Driving faster than you want me to. Can't help myself when I'm alone with you. All right, all right. I pass the limit and there's no way back. Your kind of love gives me a heart attack. All right, all right. 'Cause baby, can't you see we need to spend some time alone? We need to see some dreams come true. I wanna feel me touching you. We need a midnight rendezvous.
And I just love that record. And it's I was listening to it earlier today.
But Midnight Rendezvous is one of those tracks. As soon as you hear that guitar riff,
Yeah.
everybody knows it.
Yep.
But Midnight Rendezvous, I agree with you, was one of the special songs that
Yeah.
we just loved to record. And
Yeah.
when it was finished, was a great big pat on the back, and then a run round to the bar for a quick drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, hey, Tony, how long were you with Rod Stewart's band?
I was with Rod for approximately 12 years.
For questions or comments, email Steve at steveryan.songoftheday@gmail.com.